Okay, here's the most stressful job of the summer for me. This sink, we've had this since we bought the house, and it's got breaks and cracks in it, and I've put silicone in it and put it together and that sort of stuff. But it upsets me that it's got the cracks in it and then the top of the water thing's off and that. So last summer, Ads and I bought a new sink and a new pedestal, and I put it under the stairs, downstairs, and I haven't touched it for a year. I'm scared about doing this because I'm not a plumber. I don't really know anything about plumbing. If you stuff something up with wood, you just go and buy a new bit of wood. If you stuff something up with concrete, it doesn't matter. But if I stuff this up, I'm going to stuff up the sink. So that worries me. Also, the pipes are a bit corroded and yuck. I'm worried about breaking the pipe and then the water not working properly, and I've got a whole pile of worries about this. But I'm also a pretty positive person, so I'm not going to spend my life worrying about it. Yes, at some stage we want to overhaul the whole bathroom, but that's been sitting there for a year, so I might as well do this job and get it done and see how I go. So this is the big job of the summer, which I'm going to do now, and I haven't told anyone. I haven't told Ads, I haven't told anyone. I'll show her this video when it's finished, hopefully. Okay, so welcome to my fears realised. I've got the thing out, the pedestal thing out, that's not an issue. These ones are in so tight that I cannot get them out. I've put WD-40 on them and I'm trying to get them out. I've actually got replacements, so I'm not too worried because I have got replacements once I get them out. So that's going to be an issue of how the hell do I get them out. But here is the big problem. This is the out tube that goes into the wall, goes out through the plumbing, through the house, and it has rusted through and broken. And that is not a thread, that is concrete holding it into place. So that means I have to rip these tiles out and get a plumber to re-weld a piece of tube or something, or I just don't know. So now I've got the water turned off in the house. I can't get these things off to plug them. I don't know how to stop the water running if I turn the water back on, which I have to turn the water back on. So I can't even reinstall the sink. I might be able to take the taps off the sink and attach the taps again and then leave the taps turned off. I could do that, but and then I can turn the water back on. That doesn't fix my problem. So, yep, this is what I was really worried about. It's not outbraining me of like how to do it. I understand how to do it. I just don't know what to do about this. Now, Evaldo next door has done some plumbing before for us, so I'm going to go over and see if he's home and see if he can come and, I don't know, rip these 4 or 5 tiles out and re-weld a new tube in or something. And I don't know. I'm going to have to go and see him about it right now. Shit. Okay, so after a 2-hour run to the hardware store and back, I've bought, I think, everything. I think I've got a problem-solving solution to fix this, which is good. I'm going to go through and show you that step by step. I'll do a jigsaw, sort of put it all together and show you before I actually do it. Right now I'm going to get these little plug things and just plug up the ends of here and here, and then turn the water back on and make sure those 2 pipes are not leaking, which they haven't been. There hasn't been an issue there. It was always the rust and the leaking there. So I'm going to make sure they're not leaking, and if that's the case, I'm going to leave them in the wall, because I'm worried that if I screw that and I twist them, I break them off inside the wall. That's one of my biggest fears. So if the pipes are working, all I need to do is clean them. Just go through with some vinegar and some, rust off stuff and just clean them. And then they'll be hidden in behind the basin, as they have been for the last 20 years anyway. So as long as they're not leaking, they're going to stay. And then the rest, I think I've come up with a solution. Wait for the next video. Okay, this is an adventure. The thing just broke. Water went everywhere. So now I have to take it off. So upset. It wasn't leaking, it was fine. But I touched it once to clean it and bang, it broke. water went everywhere. So, I mean, that was going to happen. So it's probably better I take it off now. It's just a matter of now, how do I get that off super, super carefully so that I don't break it in the wall, right? So before I do that, I'm going to deal with this one, and then I'll deal with those two, I suppose. Oh shit, who knows? Of course that was going to happen. Okay, fortune favours the brave. I got the angle grinder, and I cut it back just before the end of the thing. So here, just before the end of the nut, I put a socket on it, and I went really slowly and really carefully, and they both came out cleanly. So shit, lucky. So the next thing I'm going to do is put the two cords of those back on first. I'm going to do that first and block them up, and then put the water back on to make sure everything's okay. Okay, here's the update. It had rusted all the way through. It was really bad. So I didn't know what to do, so I went and got Ivaldo, who I think is a plumber. And he came over and he looked at it and went, yep, I can fix this. And he spent about half an hour, and he pulled it all out, like right out, much more than I would have, out of the wall. And then and he's a lot more rough with it than I was. I was so gentle, and he was so rough. Anyway, he pulled it all out. He replaced the pipe back about 3 inches, and we've hooked it all up, and I've just got it plugged off at the end here. I've got 2 plugs on the 2 ends here, so the water is back on. The water is working at the house, no issue. He looked at this pipe here, and I showed him the way I was going to solve it, and he said, yes, perfect, that's the way you should do it. Just put around the outside lots of silicone as well, and you can fix that up. He hacked away a whole pile of the tile here, and I said, oh, can I use this pasta cement stuff? You're never going to see it anyway, it's behind the basin. And he went, yes, you can use that. And it was a whole family affair. It was Ivaldo and his daughter and the boyfriend and the dog and the 2 cats and everything, but it's okay, they're all outside. He just came in and fixed it, which I'm so rapt about. So now I can put water on and I can flush the toilet, which is really good. I need to clean up obviously in here, but it's a big step forward. He's telling me that the way that I wanted to fix this other thing was correct, and now that the 2 pipes are working, that was correct. It's a huge step forward, so now I can put in the new basin over the next couple of days. I went from high stress to higher stress to higher stress to no stress, and I'm calm now and it's all okay and I'm wrapped. So, and he was good, he was really positive. He came and looked at my other walls and things outside, and he said, the one I did down near the knockdown shed, he said it was okay. He said, oh, you should have put some metal beams in to hold it. But the other one that I'm looking at on this side, he said, absolutely not. You have to put in metal support beams to support all of the earth and the rocks in front of it. And so he's shown me what to do there. And we had the phone to translate, so he's shown me what to do there. It means a shitload of extra work, but he said it'll be much, much safer. So that sounds like I should do that. So, all right, that's it. Step 1, wash, clean, anti-bac the whole area. Step 2, get rid of these things, the supports from either side, and get the angle grinder and straighten that out flat. Just a tiny little bit just to make that flat. Don't worry, Miss Addie, there'll be another layer of cleaning. Right, stage 3, got to give the whole thing a clean again, which I've kind of just done a big wipe over. And I'm going to go through, this is where I had to cut those rusty old bolts off, and I've smoothed out that so it's fairly straight. It's not perfect, but it's fairly straight. Stage 3 is fill in behind there with this pasta stucco, fix up all this old stuff, which I didn't do. That's 20 years old. Fix up all around that. Coat over these 2 again, even if I have to paint them with some sort of tile paint, but I'm going to fix them next. So that's stage 3. Here we are at step 4. I started off by doing the plaster stuff, the pasta, they call it pasta. I did it around there and it was already ugly, but it sort of filled in the gap a bit. But then when I've got to these sections here, that was a huge gap in there, and these scratch marks and that sort of stuff, I decided to put white silicone on it, and so I've sealed them up with white silicone, and tomorrow I'll go through and clean off all the excess, like sand it back so that we can get rid of all the excess silicone. But you can see just from looking at it like that, it's already way better than it was. Had an issue here, this one, which I had put on by myself before Rivaldo came over. It dripped once and I panicked and I thought, oh no, you know, has this one rusted in behind as well and that sort of stuff. But the water is on and it's been under super pressure for 24 hours. So it's not leaking heaps or any of that sort of stuff. So I got the wrench and I did it up, and I did it up one turn and I still saw a drip of water, and I ended up doing it up 2 or 3 full turns, shitting myself with every single turn, and it's fully stopped leaking. So I obviously hadn't done it up tight enough. I was tentative. And when I saw Rivaldo yesterday, he was much more brutal than I was. He was much more forceful and aggressive. So I've done it up 3 turns. It's been 10 minutes and I haven't seen a single drip of water. So either I fixed it or it's dripping in behind the wall, which I bloody hope not. But I don't think so, because like I said, it's been under pressure for 24 hours and it hasn't. It would have gone by now if that was going to happen. So I think it's okay. So I need to leave this for a little while, leave it to dry out, and then tomorrow sand it back and start the next stage. I will show you the next video of putting the parts together to fix this. Okay, so here's the jigsaw that's going to be the way the pipe goes together. I've got one of these, and I'm going to jam that into the broken pipe in the wall. I'm going to fill it here with that blue plumber's glue, and then silicone all the way around the outside of it. So that's going to be the first bit. That's this. I've got 2 of them, right? So that's going to be that. Then I put on it this clip thing that holds, because it's got a big round funny end, right? No thread, nothing, right? So I've put this clip thing on with some rubber to hold that in place, and I'm going to fill up all in here with silicone, but it has got a rubber and it is screwed in tight. So I don't think it necessarily needs it, but I'm going to do that anyway. And that takes it down to this size pipe, which is the same as the one that was coming out of the wall, right? Then I use this thing, which is a connector, and it's got a rubber seal on the inside there and a rubber seal in there, and essentially it just slides onto there. Now, same thing, I'm going to fill it with the blue glue stuff so that it glues in there, and that's going to go that way. Then I've got another one that joins like this that goes on the other side of that silver, and depending on the length from the wall, so this is where it matters about the length, the width of the actual basin touching the wall, and whether it how close it needs to be to the wall. I can use either the long white one or the shorter silver one, or worst case scenario, I could cut the white one back down to a shorter size if I need to, but hopefully one of those two will give me the right distance from the wall. That screws onto like that goes in there and screws that way, so that holds that onto this thing, which catches all the diamond rings that you drop down there and all those sorts of things. So that's going to sit there like that. Then we've got this up pipe that fits down into there, and again that screws into there. Now the up height doesn't matter so much because this thing can move up and down, and the same thing, I could cut it if I need to cut it, but it should be right height wise. It shouldn't be an issue. The only problem was when you get to this, the circle there didn't fit onto the bottom of the basin. So then I had to go and get this adapter, which goes from the big screw thread to a screw-on smaller thread, which then goes to the bottom of the sink, which then goes up into the actual porcelain sink. So that's the jigsaw to get the plumbing done for a person who's not a plumber. So I'm going to see how I go, make sure it all works, and then set it all up today. Okay, I'm not sure what step this is. I'm going to say step 5. I've drilled holes into the concrete. I put plugs in through into where the holes were in the wall, and then I put these 2 screws coming out, which actually hold the weight of the basin apart from the pedestal. This one that I was stressed about was dripping. Once I tightened it, it hasn't dripped since. So that's been 24 hours and it hasn't had a single drip. So I think maybe I was just a bit tentative with my tightening of it, and I've tightened it right up now and it's done. So now I'm actually going to start placing things and putting them together. I've measured up where the pedestal is going to be. I measured this up and it's ready to screw in. I've measured the distance from here out to the pedestal to make sure that there's space for all the tubes and all that sort of stuff. So I think I'm ready to start putting it together. I'm very hesitant and tentative, but yeah, I've got to do it. I've got to put it together. Okay, for the sake of the fitting, I haven't glued anything, I haven't screwed anything, just to see that it's going to work. This is how it works. I can see down there that my plumbing is lined up. I've got the screws in underneath. They're not screwed, nothing's screwed in, but you can see that they go through the holes on both sides, which is good. I'll be able to screw them in. This is lined up. I've got it in, and I've got it to that point. I haven't put the upright in yet, but at this stage it looks like it's all going to work, right? So I'm going to pull it all apart again and start to glue and put it back together. But for what's it look like in the room, that's what it looks like in the room. It's centered against the mirror, so it should be right. I know you're going to say it's not centered against the tiles. It never was. The old one never was. If you look at all the lines, and if I move it over, if I move that to that line, then it's halfway across the mirror. It's not in the middle of the mirror. So I've centered it back where it was with the mirror so that when you're standing at the sink, you're standing at the mirror. Righto, I think I've gone from 0 to 100. So I joined that in the wall and I filled it with joining paste, and I'm going to leave that to dry. Then in a day from now, I'm going to go around and fill that whole thing up again with silicone. This orange stuff on here is just dust from where I drilled these holes, right? So I'll go over them with either some paint or some silicone, or scratch a bit of that off maybe, but I don't want to damage the pipes. Right, then I've done the first join from the plastic to this thing, and this has got rubber seals on the inside as well, but I've also put the joining concretey stuff. Join the next one to this one. This one's got rubber seals on the inside, and then this is all sort of in place. Now, this is loose at the top, this section here. It's on, but it's not loose, because I've got to get the height this way, and this goes up and down, right? This is all done, it's sealed, it's all correct. There's a rubber that goes on here, and then the sink sits on top of this. Then there's another metal bit that runs down into here and screws into this to hold it all in place. To hold it all in place. But I don't want this holding any weight. I want the weight being held by these screws. This, I'm just going to gently have it coming up and just touching it so that the water goes down, and it's got a rubber seal. So that's what I said, it's gone from 0 to 100. This has all happened in the last 10 minutes, right? So this is done, and I'm actually going to put the pedestal section on now and just check the height one more time, and then try and get this height right. Then I'm going to silicone the pedestal section, and I think I'll leave all of that to dry. I think, yeah. Okay, let's talk about stress. The sink's in, the pedestal is in, siliconed around the bottom. The sink at the top is in, it's screwed in firmly to the wall, siliconed across the top, and siliconed at the connection point all the way around in there. I haven't siliconed in behind there because I ran out of silicone, but I'll get another tube, that's another thing. And down here needs a clean up and needs some more silicone around that too. But it's all in, the sink's in, ready to go. This quart has cold water, this one has hot water. The tap will be the next step, the next stage in the process. This is in, screwed in, all working. I poured a cup of water down it all worked. And the best thing is I had no drips and no water out the back. I think it needs 24 hours to really let it dry and settle and do all that sort of stuff before I start the tap process. Plus I'm shitting myself about the tap process. So the sink is in, it all seems to be good, it seems to be working. You can see it in the room. It looks nice, it looks new and clean, and the best thing is it's not cracked all in here where we could cut ourselves, or Jules might cut himself. That's it, that's the sink, that's the way it is. I looked at it, and this room is just all wonky, right? So I looked at it, if you look at the tiles here, this tile, it comes to just near where the bottom is. This tile, it looks like it's halfway through the flower. This tile, it's a quarter of the way through the flower, and this tile, it's near where the bottom of it is, right? So I figure, okay, the sink's got a bit of a curve like that, but not that much, right? So I got the level out, I put the level on it, and it's level, right? It's not, it's visually frustrating me a little bit, and it frustrates me that this line here is not in line with that. I get it, right? But it's an old slapped together bathroom, but it is level, seems to be working, everything seems to be right. So, and the pedestal looks right. I've centered it where it should be. Underneath there are grooves all under here where it has to fit into the grooves in the right spot. So I've fitted into the grooves in the right spot. The tube comes up the middle. It's screwed up all correctly. It's just, you know, I'm a visual person. I need it to be perfect. Okay, so I'm on the last section, which is putting the tap in, and I've got the two water pipes, and I've turned the water off, and I'm going to let them drain a little bit. I'll flush the toilet so the water goes out. I've had to put an adapter on these because the size was different, so it goes from a big one to a small one, so that's fine. Here's my problem, here's my fear. These are now fixed, and the ends, they don't spin, right? That doesn't spin. That is fixed in position. It's clamped here, and that is fixed in position. That's the same, and that's the same. So, in theory, I can poke it through, do one up, do it up tight. I could put these two cords on, no issue. But then, if I put the cords on, I can screw one of them in quite easily because I can spin this around. How do I screw the second one in? Because once the first one's in, I can't spin this around because that'll put a loop in the cord. I can't spin these around because that'll put a loop in the cord. How do I do it? Like, I understand if these ends spun around, that it'd be easy. You can do it easily. I'm just not 100% sure about it. So I'm going to try. I'm going to do my best and see how it goes. Okay, when I loosened off the first one, so I've done the one that I was worried about. Once I loosened off the plug, this thing did move. So the next logical thing to do is do the cold out of the tap first, and then undo this one, and this should move, so I should be able to tighten it so there won't be any issues. So I'm really, really pleased that seems to be the right way that it's working. Okay, tap is on. The pipes are all tied up and done correctly. Pipes here are tied up and done correctly. I'm going to cable tie them in, obviously up under the pedestal, but for testing, it's all done right there. Hot should be on this side, cold should be on this side. Turn it on. Cold. Hot. No drips, no leaks. No drips, no leaks. No drips, no leaks. It's all working perfectly. I cannot believe it. There's a few things I've got to button up. I've got to do silicone underneath, all the way like around here, underneath, all that sort of stuff, but I run out of silicone. I've done underneath here, that part I all siliconed up, but the back half touching the wall, I need to make sure I do that. I've got to clean all of this up, you know, the brown stuff, which was the dust from the tiles, and sand that back a little bit. But in terms of functionality, wow, it's working. I'm so excited about it. This was an achievement, like making brick walls and doing other things, you know, I've kind of done that stuff before, but to do the plumbing in here and to get it right and to do it by myself and, well, with a little bit of the Valdo help, this was a massive achievement for me, so I'm really pleased about it. Okay, there we go. Cable tied the tubes in. Still got the silicone to do around the back, but in terms of how it looks in general, the tubes just go straight in, you can't see them, so it's pretty good. I'm really pleased. Wow, big achievement. Okay, last video. I've gone in and I've done the silicone up around the back, you can see there. I've done a little bit more silicone around this area here just to make sure, like I'm feeling like I want to make sure there's absolutely no water and no gaps, and I'm trying to do it the best way I possibly can. So I've gone through and resealed all of that. I've also gone through and wiped up and cleaned the floors and made sure there's not a drip of water on the floor anywhere. So I went through and got a towel and made sure everything's completely dry. Now, obviously, over the next 24 hours, I'm going to watch it really carefully and make sure I don't see any drips, I don't see any drops. I can't hear any, I can't see any. I've run the tap for a little while and nothing's come out the bottom or anything, so cross my fingers, everything will be okay. But the pressure at the house, the water pressure at the house is unbelievably strong. So I need to test it. So I'm giving myself 24 hours to watch it carefully, watch the silicone, watch down here for puddles where I've dried everything out. To use the sink, I'm going to use it every time I go to the bathroom. I'll use it to make sure that the water's running right and all those sorts of things. 24 hours from now, I just test to see whether there's any actual leaks or any of those sorts of things.